Hey everybody, you're listening to Sit Down with Stand-Ups. I'm Ari Azizian, and my guest today is a very funny stand-up comedian. He was a writer for Saturday Night Live, and he's currently a writer on the hit TV show Blackish, and he's the first comic to release a comedy special on Team Coco Records. I'm sitting here with the hilarious Ian Edwards.
Hey, what's up, man?
How's it going?
My pleasure, man. My pleasure.
Thank you so much for being here.
This is a very professional organization you got going on here.
Thank you.
Got gifts, food.
Gotta treat my guest. You're like one of the funniest stand-ups. This is the live from the Sunset Strip podcast. We're just sitting out here outside and make the best of it.
Yeah, with these amazing microphones. Looks like we're from the 50s.
I know you grew up in England, right? And then you moved to Jamaica and then New York eventually. Yeah. I was wondering like what some of your early influences in comedy were. Was it like Monty Python and like more British humor, or did you like American comedy more?
No, I definitely remember watching Monty Python a lot.
Yeah.
In England, they didn't have a lot of shows, so they repeated the ones that they did have. So they repeated Monty Python a lot, so you always saw it. And
the Flying Circus one.
The Flying Circus, all that stuff, and then it subconsciously influenced me.
Nice.
Like it definitely had an effect on me, because like when people compliment me now, there's like strands of like British humor in there.
Really, yeah.
And then Jamaica, as far as humor, like they're just so real there. Jamaican people are just so real. Like, you know, if something's like straight in front of you, like everybody's a comedian in Jamaica.
Yeah.
Yeah, pretty much. Everybody's like you wouldn't want to get heckled by a Jamaican, because you feel like you're getting heckled by a professional comedian. Yeah, right. I remember all the kids being funny and going at each other and making fun of each other.
Yeah.
Or maybe I was just the group of dudes I used to hang out with. Maybe we used to do that. Maybe that's what makes me think that. But a lot of Jamaican people are funny because they're so honest.
Teasing and like picking on each other, kind of.
Yeah, teasing, picking. You know, same stuff you get here, but just very, very honest.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That's awesome. And you were in America, in New York, at like
17 years old. Yeah.
Okay. Cool. And when was it like when you first realized that you wanted to be a comedian?
I didn't realize I wanted to be a comedian. I just wanted to be funny so that I could just communicate with people and people would want to hang out and talk to me.
Yeah.
So then I was just tapping into my funny side. And then I also used to work at Burger King, and I used to like take orders over the drive-thru. So then I used to be funny over the drive-thru. And then
what would you do like over the drive-thru?
Just probably was stuff that I'm embarrassed about now. You know what I mean? Like hacky stuff.
Yeah.
Nothing creative. Yeah. You know, I was just throwing out anything that came to my head. And I just remember one guy, after I took his order, he drove around and he's like, "Hey man, you're funny, you should be a comic, you should do comedy."
Wow.
And then I just ran with it from there. Didn't even know him, he's a stranger. Never seen him before in my life. I know, right?
That's so amazing.
I beat him up for ruining my life. I could have had a good, decent job and a pension somewhere. Now I'm in California on Sunset Strip in this warm January weather. How dare he ruin my life like
Doing
that?
a podcast. I'm so sorry. I'm so sorry. That's so awesome though that he just told you that you should do stand-up from there. And then how long was it after that where you like went to an open mic or?
Pretty soon after that. It's something about maybe the way he said it or how he said it, and maybe one or two people had told me I was funny before that, and then I was at the age where I was like, I have to find something to do with my life, for my life. So when he said that, it was just the right moment, and I just like started listening to more comedy albums like Richard Pryor and Cosby and Eddie Murphy, and I started like going down to the local comedy club and checking out open mics, and
this
trying
is
to
all
get
in New York, right?
All in New York, on Long Island. Yeah.
Cool. So what was your like first set at an open mic like? Did you do pretty well? Or?
No, it was horrendous.
It was horrendous?
Yeah.
How come? What happened?
Because I'd been going to that club, it's Governor's in Long Island, and I'd been going to the club to I've been going there to check out the open mics, but I never like walked on stage.
Just get a feel for it.
To get a feel for it. Even after the show, or if I get there early before the show.
Right.
And so I have no stage savviness, never been on a stage before really in my life. And when I went on there, the lights hit me and they blinded me. and when you lose your sense of sight, you pretty much lose everything else.
Right. Yeah.
It's like a domino effect.
And you gotta have your hand.
Yeah.
Like
like using my hand like it's a sun visor.
I did that the first like 2 times.
Yeah.
You don't realize how bright those lights are.
Exactly.
Until you get there.
And it made me realize that's why cops shine lights on you when they pull you over to disarm you.
That's true. Yeah. Get your senses down.
It throws your senses off. Plus, I was nervous, so it was a terrible set. I stumbled through every joke except the last one. I said perfectly, and everybody laughed. And I was like, oh shoot! If I stop being nervous, and if I can tell all these jokes without being nervous, then I'll be fine. So 10 years later, I wasn't nervous anymore.
That's so cool. I mean, I can relate because I have that trouble with like nervousness on stage.
Right.
And, how could you say you got over that like hurdle? Was it just practice over and over again?
Over and over again, just wrote it out.
Yeah.
Like,
But you knew inside like that last joke saved you. Like you're like, I know all this stuff is funny.
Yeah, I probably would have quit.
Really? Yeah.
And then I was like, oh, that's the first, I think, piece of set awareness I ever had. Like, okay, this is not, like I didn't panic. I didn't say fuck this, I'm never gonna do this again. I was like, you were nervous. Like I assessed myself correctly. You were nervous. You stumbled over all your jokes. The last one you said perfectly. They laughed at it. You wrote that last joke just like you wrote the rest of the other jokes. So these jokes are funny. You just have to stop being nervous.
The audience totally like picks up.
Mm-hmm.
Like it's like they have like an animal's instinct. They know like when the comic's nervous and.
Yeah, there was no hiding that I was nervous that night at all. It was
just shaking and squinting at the light.
Shaking and squinting, yeah. Like I was the only one acting like there was a breeze inside the building.
Just shivering a little bit.
Yeah, shivering. Yeah.
That's so funny. Do you remember that last joke by any chance? That
it was a joke about my car, it being a shitty car because I did have a shitty car at the time.
What was the car?
I can't remember, but I do remember that it had holes in the floor, and I could
see the road,
and I could break my ankle if I didn't like keep my feet on the pedals.
Yeah.
Yeah. It'd break my ankle driving.
I've ridden some of those. I know how it feels. So you said your early influences, besides like Monty Python and stuff, you got into Richard Pryor and George Carlin and Bill Cosby early on?
Yeah.
That's so cool, and I could totally see that like in your set, how you're really great at painting a picture and telling a story.
Right. I always hoped to be like that, so it was good. It was frustrating at first because all I could do was come up with one-liners.
Yeah.
And then I learned to just expand the one-liners.
And like put a story around it?
Yeah, put a story around it, yeah.
Would you say like you make it more personal around the one-liner?
Yeah, for sure. Because it's like, I always liked how Richard Pryor took stuff from his life.
Right.
So that was another thing that I learned from listening to him. Like, like go with things from your life. Because that's the only way that helps you stay original.
Right.
There's certain things that only happen to you, and there's certain things that are universal. But if you go with the things that only happen to you, or your take on the things that happens to everybody, but how you felt about it, then you can be original and universal at the same time.
That's so cool. Yeah, I never thought of it like that. Because I always think like, I love the one-liner comics, but I can't imagine thinking of all those topics, like.
Yeah, it's like this more. To me, it feels like more work.
Right.
Now you got to know all these topics, like you're saying. Like, but if you just milk one topic, you stay on one topic for 5 minutes.
Right.
Yeah.
And I love watching you because, I've heard your jokes several times, and it's just like as a student of comedy, I guess, like you set up these jokes in a way that the audience kind of draws back a little bit and they get quiet.
Right.
And then you win them back, and it's like this thunderous like laughter over, and it's so cool to watch.
Yeah, I know. I never learned my lesson. I always turn the audience against me. After I get them back on my side, it's time to turn them against me again. And then to get them back on my side.
I think that's so cool, though.
Turn them back against me again.
That's like, I think it's brilliant that to have that control, because the audience, I think the haircut joke that you do.
Oh yeah.
And then everybody just gets quiet and they're like, what's going on? And then just like boom, and everybody's totally on board. It's so funny. I heard you on Mark Maron's podcast where you're saying how you like to do comedy, how you like to have a message in it, but not be angry and like alienating, but still have like a meaningful message in it.
Right.
I was wondering if you could like elaborate a little bit on that and like how to not come off. Because as a younger comic, I guess nobody really wants to hear you do like political or like real stuff.
Right.
It's like, what does this kid know? But then, yeah, I don't know.
It's hilarious.
But,
I mean, like I'm trying to think of like Bill Hicks or Sam Kinison. Like some people can get away with having a harsh message and delivering it harshly and being effective. But for me, and I've tried that and it's worked, but I think you can deliver a harsh message better with a smile on your face.
Yeah.
Because, you know, it's like making a kid take their medicine. You got to find a way to make a kid take their medicine.
Right.
And for me, it just works better, like, if I just do it nonchalantly, you know? But if I get animated or angry, then they're like, what's this guy's problem? We don't want to hear what the hell he's got to say.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I feel like it's a thin line, like from like a rant. Sometimes like comics get too ranty, and it's a little alienating, like you said.
Yeah.
But I really like your style.
Thanks, man.
You do that, yeah.
Appreciate it.
And you also were a writer on Saturday Night Live.
Mm-hmm.
That's so cool. How did you start to write for them?
I did it for a little while, and my ex-manager was Tracy Morgan's manager at the time when he was on the show.
Yeah.
And
so you were around there with like Tina and Amy.
Yeah.
Oh, that's so awesome.
I doubt they remember me though. You know, those people are big time.
Well, what were you writing for? Like sketches or weekend?
Sketches and like anything I could come up with for Tracy.
Okay.
Yeah.
Did you do the safari stuff that he does?
No, I didn't do the safari. I was gone before that.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
What were some of the sketches that you worked on?
There was one he did for like an Easter Bunny thing.
Okay.
Yeah.
That's awesome.
Yeah, and then can't remember anything else, but it's a long time ago.
Well,
and then plus it's tough to get stuff on SNL.
Right, I heard it's really like competitive.
Yeah, it's competitive. Yeah.
Did you have? Was it like? Because I know you've had other writing jobs. Do you think SNL was sort of like you had to like work a lot harder, like to get stuff on the air?
Well, I knew I had a limited time to prove myself over there, so then there was that pressure, and then I got there, like after I left, and then a few years after I left, that's when Tracy became into being Tracy. But Tracy wasn't Tracy yet on that show.
Right.
But he's lucky. I guess they saw the talent in him. Like some people they keep around, and then some people they decide not to keep around. I don't know how they decided.
Yeah, I know.
You know,
there's always so many people have potential and then they're gone next season.
Yeah, sometimes I see people doing tons of sketches and then they're gone. They're like, that guy, you got rid of that guy?
Right,
he was in everything. And then they'll keep somebody who isn't in anything. And then he'll get hot. Or vice versa. You know, so it just wasn't Tracy's time yet, you know. But a few years later, he heated up and he was doing the Brian Fellows sketch and all that stuff.
Yeah, that's so awesome.
Yeah.
What was the sort of like starting out at SNL? Did you like submit a packet or?
Yeah, I did submit a packet.
A material? Yeah. And I mean, compared to your other writing jobs, did you like it or?
No, I liked it.
Was it a short time?
Yeah, short time. I liked it.
Yeah.
I liked submitted the packet, then they said come in, and then you just go in on a Monday, and they give you an office, and then you go to the meeting, the pitch meeting, because the pitch meeting is Monday night, I think. I'm trying to remember. It's been a while. And then Lauren Michaels is introducing the guests for that week to all the writers.
Oh, wow.
And I don't think we'd ever met before.
Yeah.
You know?
You didn't meet Lauren until then? Until
then. And then he was like, and he said, he introduced the guests to me with my name. And I was like, oh, this motherfucker knows my name.
Who was the first guest when you were on?
I think like Joan Allen or somebody.
Joan Allen,
yeah.
And that's Ian Edwards right there. That's so funny.
It's Ian. He's like going through the room. He's like, this motherfucker knows my name. Yeah. All right.
That's
cool.
rad.
Yeah.
And what's like the writing process like on SNL? You start on a Monday. They tell you the guests.
Start on a Monday. They tell you the guests. You pitch some ideas. Then I think they tell you which ones are the ideas they like for you to go write up. and you can start writing Monday night, but I think people really write the hardest on Tuesday night.
Tuesday night, okay.
And then the sketches are due in on Wednesday morning.
Wow.
And then you can go home and then come back for the table read.
Do you stay there Monday through Wednesday pretty much?
Nah, but Tuesday night you stay there.
Oh my gosh, so it's like an all-nighter. Everybody's just
but it's like college. It's like all the kids are up.
Yeah.
And then you're writing and you're procrastinating and you're writing and you're procrastinating.
That's so cool.
Yeah.
Do you write like individually? Sorry, I just don't
No,
know
it's
the
all
process
good.
at all. But
no, there's individual, like there was sketches that I wrote by myself and then sketches I wrote with other writers.
And you like bounce off ideas.
Bounce off ideas, yeah. People help people out and stuff.
That's so cool.
Yeah, it's cool.
And then like, why is it, I hear, so competitive once you turn everything in? Who is the ultimate decider of picking all those sketches?
I guess Lauren.
Lauren? Okay.
Yeah. I guess Lauren. Like it's competitive because there were a lot of writers then, and then also there were cast members who were writing too.
Oh, okay.
So then you want to get on the show. If you're a writer, you want to get your sketches on the show because then you can keep your job. And then if you're a performer, you figure the only way for you to keep your job is to be on camera. So
they sort of write themselves in
sketches.
Yeah.
So they write their sketches and they trying to be on the show.
Right.
Keep the job.
Does it go by like purely funny demerits, or does
there's purely funny and then there's some political moves?
There's some political, like, does the cast members have a higher position than the writers?
Like some cast members seem to always have to get a sketch, even if it's not funnier than,
Wow, yeah, I had no idea.
Yeah.
And then, so Wednesday they choose, and then there's another table reading, you said?
No, on Thursday, there's like punch-up rewrites.
Punch-up rewrites,
yeah.
Okay.
And I think Friday and Saturday rehearsal, and then, they're building sets and stuff like that.
Those guys always impress me the most.
Yeah, that's the impressive thing.
Like, because the writer can come in and just switch up everything last minute, right? And they have to build a whole new...
Well, the set, I can't say that's never happened, but it's still a short turnaround to build a set from Wednesday to be TV ready for Saturday night.
I know, yeah.
That means it's got to be ready before Saturday.
That's crazy.
Yeah, so
you see like full space stations that they built, and you're like, how did they do that?
Mm-hmm.
And then after that, was it soon after that you moved out here to California, or were you in New York for a while after that?
I was actually here when I got that job.
Oh, and they flew you out?
No, I'm from New York, so I came out here, did the first writing job, and then I missed New York, so I had a place here, but I stayed in New York a lot, like especially in the summertime.
Yeah.
So then and it didn't matter because Barry was like, I can get you this job if you send me a good package. So once I sent the package in, then I can't remember if I was.
Is this Barry Katz?
Barry Katz,
okay,
yeah.
Cool.
I just can't remember if I was in New York just hanging out,
right,
or I was here, but. He said, send a package. And I think I was in New York. Yeah. So it was just convenient, yeah.
That's so cool.
Yeah.
And to just go back a little bit, how long were you doing stand-up when you realized you also wanted to do writing as well, before you did that first writing job?
Only the moment that I did get the writing job. Like, I didn't know stand-up led to writing.
Yeah.
I was naive. I didn't know, It was just a manager at a comedy club said we're having auditions, right? And the people want to see comics. Because they're looking for writers, and he recommended me.
Right.
And then I just went there, did my job that night, did great.
That's so cool.
And then they asked me to send in some samples, and I had some samples prepared, and I had some stuff that I hadn't fully completed, but I just went home and completed them that night, and then I sent them in, and then they hired me.
Was this for the late night with the Wayne?
Yeah, for Keenan and Wayne's late night talk show.
That's so cool. So you just had to send some topical monologue jokes?
Nah, it wasn't even jokes. It was all sketches.
Oh, okay, cool.
Yeah.
That's awesome. And then after that, they said come and write.
Yeah, come through and write. Yeah.
That's so awesome.
Yeah, it was cool.
And you've written on, so many great shows. And then after that was SNL, and then you did Boondocks for a while too?
Yeah, I did Boondocks, yeah.
That's awesome.
Like a season, yeah.
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 And And then after that, did you do? Was it Blackish after that?
Nah, did Boondocks. I'm gonna forget some of the things. Did more sports. I did.
Jay Moore.
Jay Moore
cool,
on ESPN. Yeah, late night talk show. Did I'm gonna forget. I did. Kevin Hart had a sitcom on ABC called The Big House. I did 6 episodes of that.
Nice.
It went 6 episodes. Mid-season replacement. Did that. Did. Trying to remember. I did some punch up on my wife and kids, and they fired me. That's the only job I've ever been fired from.
Oh man, why'd you get fired?
I guess it was kind of between me and another guy.
Yeah.
And it's like it was a test. I didn't know it was a test. I just thought maybe 2 shows have 2 punch up guys. So in those 2 weeks.
So they just called 2 guys, didn't tell you guys you're competing?
Nah.
Oh,
I figured it out after they told me not to come back.
Oh man.
But that was the only job I ever got fired from. You know.
Yeah.
Yeah. And it taught me a lesson, so I'm good. Yeah. Wrote Nick Cannon's show. What was that?
Wild and Out?
No, Short Circuit.
Short Circuit?
It was another MTV sketch show. I quit that job.
Why?
It just wasn't going in the direction I thought it should be. Like, it wasn't Nick. It was some producer they had. I don't know. I don't know what he was doing.
Was he just like not into like the jokes and the sketches, or?
Nah, like maybe I didn't like what he was choosing, or the direction the show was going in under him.
Yeah.
And I was like, I don't need to be here.
Right.
So then I just told the head writer, who's a good friend of mine, we still talk. I was like, yeah, it was Friday. I was like, yeah, I don't think I'm going to be coming back on Monday, man. My manager was mad because I didn't tell him what I was going to do.
That's the coolest way to like leave a job. On Friday afternoon.
Yeah, he's like, I looked around. I was like, yeah, I'm good here. To be honest, when I did watch Short Circuit on TV, it did come out pretty good. But with that guy, the way it was, I just didn't think it would.
Right.
Yeah, I was like, what's going on
That's
here?
so strange, yeah.
Yeah, but it came out pretty decent. Yeah.
That's so cool. And then did you also you did punk too?
Yeah, I did punk after I left the Boondocks. Like, they called me in for an audition, and then I just went in there and just had some fun. It was like, they asked me to do something that I do all the time. They asked me to clown the other actors. You know what I'm saying? And we had comedy
like a
club.
comedian's.
Yeah, it's a comedian's dream. Like, like that was like the improv test. Like to sit next to another actor and go at it. They want to see how you come up with shit and insult and stuff. Because I guess that is an element of the show when they have the mark cornered.
Yeah. Like
the person is rude to them. So it was just easy for me to be rude to whoever I was in the audition room with. Like, I do that all day with comics, you know? Yeah.
That's so funny.
And then that was the first stage, and then the other stage they put me in the room with 2 other people who had made it to the other round. And this is all in one day. And then we went back and forth, like they threw out some scenarios and just committed and did some funny version of their scenarios, and then there was like, they were like, Ashton was there, Jason Goldberg was there.
Oh wow.
And they were like, we love you. And like, there's one more person that has to decide at the network, but you know, we'll get in contact with you. You know, and you just go home hoping that one person sees the tapes and likes it.
Right.
And they did.
That's so cool.
It was cool.
What was some of your favorite jobs or writing jobs that you had out of all of those?
The Chocolate News. That was with David Alan Grier. That was on Comedy Central too.
Yeah.
That was a beautiful gig. Like, we worked hard, but it was fun. David Alan Grier.
He's so funny.
He's funny as shit.
Yeah.
Mad talented. A great horse to ride. Like, if you give him a really good joke, he'll make it even better.
Yeah. He's so good at improv talented. And like everything. Yeah. That's so cool. I remember that show vaguely. Like, I remember it coming out. How long was that on for?
Just 2008. I mean,
it was kind of like Daily Show-ish.
Daily Show, but
it was just like topical.
Maybe more like Colbert-ish.
Colbert, right?
But you know what it's like? It was like The Onion meets Colbert.
Right.
Because we had a lot of fake news stories, and that were
That's so
like
funny.
that were ethnic,
Yeah.
and it was funny.
That's
It's a funny
so
show.
cool. Yeah.
Yeah.
And Blackish is awesome. Like, it's totally picking up, and it's a great
Blackish
show.
is picking up.
Yeah.
I want to tell you though, I just quit Blackish.
You did?
Yeah.
Oh, how come?
Yeah.
Just you didn't want to.
No, it was just time to.
You wrote a lot for it, right?
Yeah, I mean, they're still in the first season.
Yeah.
I just didn't want to go. I wanted to start the year fresh,
Right.
and I was like, the good thing it taught me was like I got used to waking up early.
Mm.
I'm old enough to be used to waking up early and just getting used to it. I'm ridiculous, but the regimen of getting up early, so I had to I could stay on this show, write on it, and then get lost in a shuffle of writers, or I'm a pretty good stand-up, and if I go hard, I can make my name doing stand-up.
Absolutely,
I got really good friends who are really good comics like Burr and Rogan, and I could be doing what they're doing if I fully commit to it. Like, they fully committed, and I just never have fully committed because I could always relax in a writing job. And I was, when everything was going good over there, I was worried about it going good.
Really?
Yeah. And then I was worried about being comfortable there and not having the fire to want to leave and
To do stand-up?
just do stand-up and commit to myself.
So you kind of get like a comfortable.
Yeah, because then you're gonna make some money. Then you're gonna buy a house. Then
Right,
then you have to keep the job to keep paying for the house.
Right.
And then you're there 5 years, and then 5 years from now, it's too late to start a stand-up career
Yeah.
or to have one.
That's so smart to realize that, like,
Yeah.
right then. I mean, you mentioned like that you got to have like a drive of just full stand-up to get to like a level, and I think you're like totally at that level. But like, what do you mean by that? Like, do you have to go on the road more, or do you have to like?
Just have to. Yeah, you just
Like,
have
what
to.
is that next like level?
Well, there's things I could do to push my name, right? But I can't do it writing on a show. Like, I can't go out and pitch to networks my own idea because my contract didn't allow me to do that.
Oh.
So that's one thing that could get me something.
Yeah.
Or even like a higher level spot on a show would put me in a position to pitch my own show. Like,
Right.
and have the studios and the networks trust me more, or doing a special, working all year on my material and shooting a special at the end of the year or the beginning of next year and then putting it out. Like, I haven't done a special yet, and I've done an album, but I haven't done a special.
Right.
So it's like, if I'm in an office, it's gonna be so hard to do a really good special.
Do you find it hard to think of stand-up material while you're in the writing mode for like a sitcom?
It's not hard, it's just like time consuming.
Right.
And right, sitting in the office all day coming up with jokes, it's kind of tiring. So then you gotta come up with that. Then you got other stuff you gotta write. Then you got friends or people that want you to read their stuff, and then you gotta come up with new jokes for your set. And you've been writing on a show for like 10 hours for the day. It's just, at some point you gotta be like, I gotta cut one of these things out and just do this, and that's just what I did.
Yeah, you need some time for your own.
Yeah.
Yeah. Wow, I had no idea like how time consuming and all the business behind.
Yeah, and I was on a lucky show. Like, Blackish, our hours weren't that bad. Like, we usually got out there at 6 o'clock, went in a little bit before 10, got out at 6, and then at least once or twice a week we'd go to like 8 or 9. I think maybe the latest we ever stayed was like 10. But there's shows you sleep there.
Wow.
So we got lucky on that one.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That's so cool. And what's your writing process like for stand-up?
For stand-up, like, you can get jokes. I can get a joke from something that I say to somebody. Somebody asks me a question, I'll say something funny, and I'll say, I'm keeping that, and then, or...
Do you write it down, or...?
Yeah, I'll write it down.
Yeah.
And then,
Oh, no.
it's all good. Oh, the alarm, oh shit. Oh, it's gonna keep going. Yeah, somebody hates your podcast.
I know. Hopefully. This guy will get it.
Yeah, somebody's anti-podcast.
Oh, great. So yeah, you just write something from a conversation you have with like a buddy?
Yeah, or sometimes things just come out of nowhere, or sometimes just from books you read, or watching stuff on the news or TV, something will come to you.
Yeah.
Like you'll have a funny response to something, a reflex. Or a lot of times now it's just like a premise. I like to deal with premises where something is wrong, and then I want to try to fix it. I want to identify this thing that's wrong,
Yeah.
that nobody's paying attention to, and then throw in
A solution.
a solution, yeah, or at least point out why it's wrong,
Right.
and why doesn't anybody think it's wrong? You know.
So does the solution always have to be like, could it be like a silly solution? Sort of like a satirical like take
Yeah,
on it?
it could be.
Yeah.
Like I like to throw something satirical, something silly in all the seriousness.
Uh-huh.
There's probably some silliness in every serious point. Yeah. And then I'm trying to rethink. Maybe there's not a lot of solutions I come up with, but at least point things out.
Right.
Yeah.
Like what's wrong with
Yeah.
this? Yeah.
Yeah.
And your album 100% Half-Ass was amazing. It's
Oh,
so
thanks,
funny.
man. Oh, thanks.
And it
Appreciate
was
that.
released through Team Coco Records.
Yeah.
You're the first one to come out on that
Oh
label?
yeah.
That's
They'll
so-
never make a mistake like that again.
What?
No, I'm just kidding.
How did that come about? Did you do a set on Conan and they said come and make an album for us? Or?
Yeah, I did a few sets on Conan, and then the second to last set I did on Conan, I was sitting in the green room, and JP Buck was like, "Yeah, man, we're thinking about starting a comedy label." And at the same time, me and my manager, we were looking at like rock labels to do an album on,
Oh, wow, yeah.
and then we had like one tentative thing. But then, this Conan is a known comedy brand,
Right.
and to be first on something is usually good.
Definitely, yeah.
And so it was a perfect thing we were looking for. He's got the show, he can promote it,
Right.
and he's got like followers and people he could tweet it to, and so it was just perfect. Like, yeah, if you're gonna do an album, like a lot of people don't do CDs. Like a lot of people do CDs, but not to get lost in the sea of independent CDs. Conan is a good place to put it out.
That's true, yeah.
Yeah.
And it's so funny. It's like
Oh, thanks.
I've listened to it many times. And for people who are listening, go to teamcoco.com.
Team Coco Records.
.com.
.com, yeah.
And it's $5. It's called 100% Half-Ass with
Uh-huh.
Ian Edwards. It's the funniest album. You got to download it.
Oh yeah, thanks. Even the price is half-ass, $5. Get that, y'all.
Yeah, definitely. It's great. I got to tell you just one personal story.
All right.
When I was a kid, I used to watch Comedy Central like all the time when it was just stand-up. They didn't
Uh-huh.
have like South Park yet or The Daily Show. And I would just take every stand-up's joke that I liked and go to school in like first grade, second grade, and just tell the jokes to all my friends.
Uh-huh.
And I saw you on a Def Comedy Jam once somewhere when
Uh-huh.
I was like 7.
7, damn.
I would tell, because I lived like close to the beach and kids would go like surfing and whatnot.
Uh-huh.
I would tell your shark attack story to all my friends all the time.
That's
And I had no idea it was you until like a
That's
few
so-
months ago when I was checking it out.
Hilarious.
It's such a great joke where it's like, there's no such thing as a shark attack when you're in the ocean. You're in the shark's home.
Yeah.
If you're taking a shower at home and the shark comes up and sad, like that's a shark attack.
That's an attack. Yeah.
I totally butchered it, but it's one of my favorite
Yeah,
jokes.
you did
of all
butcher
time.
it. For your favorite joke, you did butcher.
I have to do better on my favorite joke.
Yeah, you
I'm
do.
so sorry. So I was wondering if you had like any more plans in the upcoming future. Like you mentioned a special possibly, and
Special. And like I'm going to Sundance tomorrow.
oh wow, awesome.
Yeah.
Are you in a film or did you?
Yeah, I'm in a film.
Cool. Which
Yeah.
film is it?
A film called Tangerine.
Tangerine.
Yeah, and
Who directed that?
a guy called Sean Baker.
Sean Baker. Okay.
Yeah, and he's directed like not a lot, but a few independent features before. And I guess he's seen me perform like in New York and at the store. And one
Yeah.
day he approached me
Wow.
from the store and said, "Hey man, I'm going to be shooting some things. I wondering if you're interested in acting. You act?" I said, "Yeah, I like acting. I need to do it more."
Yeah.
And it was just when I needed to do it more. It's just when I was thinking and telling people I want to act more, and people just started. It wasn't just him but it was a few people came to me and put me in like projects, just by thinking it,
Yeah.
just by like saying, I really want to kind of act more. And then it was a Saturday, went and shot it. They paid me like $100, but I didn't even know I was gonna get money. I just did it because I wanted to just act more.
Right.
And I did 2 scenes in this thing, and then he calls me in November and said, we think the film is going to Sundance.
Oh my gosh.
We'll know December 3rd, and then they confirmed it.
Wow.
And then now I've always wanted to go to Sundance, like bring a film to Sundance, because it wasn't a distraction. One of the things I wanted to do when I came out here that kind of made me put stand-up aside for a little bit. Like I went to directing school,
Okay.
and I wanted to make some stuff.
Yeah.
And every time I'd start prepping to make something, I would like get a writing job, and then I just do the writing job and not do it. So that's another thing about, like me quitting Blackish is the reverse of that.
Right.
Instead of putting one of my personal projects aside to get a writing job, I'm putting the writing job aside to be personal. Yeah.
That's so cool. So do you want to eventually one day like direct movies and stuff?
Yeah, for sure.
Nice.
Yeah.
What are some of your influences, like Woody Allen and stuff like that, or?
Just anything good.
Yeah.
Anything good, like
comedy.
I liked a lot of Woody's early stuff, and I liked the movie that was nominated last year for Woody, or was it the year before, with the
Blue Jasmine.
Blue Jasmine.
Yeah, that was great.
That was good. I just like movies. Period. I'm always at the movie theater.
Cool.
Yeah,
Awesome.
Stay in the movie theater.
Well,
Yeah.
thank you so much for meeting up with me, and I learned a lot. Thank you so much.
Oh, my pleasure, man.
Had a
Thank
great
you, man.
time.
You got a great organization going on here. It's a one-man organization. You got gifts. He knows what soccer team I'm a fan of. It brought me a Manchester United thing.
Yeah. Thank you so much, sir.
All right, thank you,
Thank
man.
you.
All right.